So what is your approach for whiskey recipe development?
It's not that simple as just a recipe. A recipe in this scenario is understanding every single little component of a production process down to a single-digit degree during adding the yeast, for example, or controlling the fermentation throughout, and controlling the temperature throughout. So it's not just like from A to Z, these are the ingredients that you have to do. It's just you have to understand the entire process and know exactly what's going to happen at what tweak. So usually what we do is, all right, what do we actually want to achieve?
Looking at this recipe specifically that we're going to create, that we're going to distill, and what was your concept behind it? Where did it start? How did the idea come about? Was it over some whiskey, in Scotland that inspired you? Was it you two trying, certain spirits, and you guys were like, look, I would like to replicate that?
Basically started with old school Scotch malt whiskies. There's a huge difference between whiskey today and whiskey back then. We're not talking about whiskey that has been aged for 30 years compared to one that is only aged 10 years. We're talking about whiskey that has aged the same time in a cask, but has been produced at a different era. Yeah. So we started to get curious on how this happened. My internship that I did with Thompson Brothers at the Benedict Distillery allowed me to taste whiskies that are unreachable to a lot of people, and people that I've been talking to that have been drinking Scotch whiskey for a lot of time, complaining that the quality degrades.
We always start with traditional recipe. Then we usually go and dissect, so analytically approaching it, and understand everything about this tradition, because you can also follow tradition blindly, but we have the scientific spirit to understand it, and then we can play with it, but not before that. We play by the rules, but we can still create, or we try to create, a super funky whiskey. And it's still the traditional recipe, just tweaking it a little bit, also sometimes a little bit much to test out the extremes.